Okay, we are now live. So I'll call our meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. If we can please rise for a quick prayer and pledge. Start with prayer. Heavenly Father, please watch over us tonight as we conduct and plan for the town and its future. Please guide us in our decisions and help us as we continue forward in your name. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You can have a seat. All right, amongst the packet of goods that I dished out tonight is the agenda somewhere. And I just got to get to it myself. Angie, did you send the minutes from last month?
Yeah, I did. They were a little bit late.
Oh, okay. I must have missed them.
Well, I sent them to Art, and then I didn't get back on today to send them again.
Okay, so we'll have to hold off.
Yeah.
So we're at privilege of the floor for anyone that is watching on our wow, we actually have viewers. If you have any questions or comments, now is your time. You can put it in the chat. Otherwise, we will move on. Okay. Review and modify the agenda. I would like to make one addition prior to correspondence. I would like to do a moment of silence for George Williams in his memory. Forgot to add that in. I apologize. Does anyone have anything else they would like to add to the agenda? I know I sent it out to the board. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. All right, thank you. In lieu of the fact that we don't have our minutes from last month, we will hold off till next month for review and modify minutes for May. At this time, I'd like to do a moment of silence in memory and honor of George Williams, who has served the town for many, many years, and also member of the town board. Thank you. Okay, moving on to correspondence. We have the emails that we are constantly getting. I think that's just going to stay in correspondence forever from Elaine. We also have the NYSERDA Battery Energy Storage Systems webinar series. So that's continued through the month of June and July, I believe. And I also sent, Art was kind enough to send from the county, the Marijuana Law Regulation and Taxation Act PowerPoint series. So that is in everyone's packet to review. If we want to go through it, we can, but I recommend everyone just kind of look it over on their own, and we can bring it up next meeting if anyone has questions or anything they would like to talk about. Art, do you want to add anything to it since you are at the actual presentation?
Just that, there are pluses and minuses to the thing. There's the financial gain and the fact that even if we say we're not going to do it in Candor, they're going to do it all around us, and it's not going to have much impact on us. But the other impact of it is that there's social problem. You know, that I know in Colorado, I think it was, it made a whole big change in the way people acted and stuff, but that was early on. So I'm just saying, it's just information.
I know it also highly affected insurance rates. I know that was in the news.
And they also showed that it had targeted areas of lower income, you know. So it's you know, there is a financial gain to it, and there's a moral loss.
Yeah.
You know, you got to kind of look at all, see what they want to do.
Okay. Thank you for that recap there. And again, if everyone wants to take a peek at the slides, and we can talk about it at next meeting if anyone wishes. So moving on to new business, I gave everyone the code enforcement officer numbers for April. So there was 9 permits issued, 1 roof, 1 garage, 1 demolition, 1 manufactured home, 1 stick-built home, 2 carports, 1 generator, 1 shed, and a partridge in a pear tree. There were 5 property maintenance letters sent out, and 2 letters sent out to garbage company for annual fees. Code enforcement officer, who is not with us tonight, collected a total of $775 in monies, and 1 certificate of completion and 1 certificate of occupancy with 2 911 addresses issued. I will bring maize to our next meeting. I seem to get them at the town board meeting when they receive it. So I will update everyone on that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Property maintenance, is that like, you know, clean up the junk around your yard, take care of your grass? What is that? Is that basically what that is?
I believe that is.
Just because I was curious. I don't know. Maybe
I'm not 100% sure, but from the sound of it and looking at our laws, property maintenance, that's yes. So, okay, moving on to B of new business. We have the review of our site plan review form, which is also in everyone's packet. Now this, just for those that are viewing, wow, the numbers are going up. We have the planning board developed this to help us work with the code enforcement officer whenever someone goes for a site plan approval. It goes through the different dates of when there's a sketch plan, when the final construction's taking place, the information to provide us about the applicant, the tax map locations, everything to really help the board and also help the code enforcement officer and also the person who's doing the construction to make sure that all of your ducks are in order prior to completion and making sure that everything follows in a good timeline. So we've decided we wanted to update this form due to the fact that it is missing a lot of newer technology. And by that I mean there's no place on it for email addresses, no cell phone number, anything like that. So we wanted to give it a little shine to provide us with more information and more technology with the given day. And also we wanted to review it to see if anything else has changed that we may want to suggest as we move forward. So with that, I know the first thing is what I said already would be under telephone, adding, do we want to just telephone and a cell phone? Okay. And I will have to, unfortunately, I do not have the full Word document of this. It opens in a different form, so I'm going to have to reformat all this again as I retype it. You know, I'll take the changes that we suggest today, put it in, and then at our next meeting, we can review it again and keep going from there. So cellular, phone, we will add email.
The applicant and the owner?
Yes.
Okay.
And, do we need it under the plans prepared by? Probably, yeah, I
I
would
think-
probably say yes, right? So cellular phone, email. Okay, cellular phone, email. All right, moving on. We have ownership intentions, i.e. the purchase options. Any thoughts or suggestions on the heading or anything there? And the intentions, or building or whatever, and ownership intentions with purchase options.
Where are you seeing that?
Under the owner,
Owner.
there's telephone, and then under that,
Right there, ownership intentions. I
Okay.
mean, does that really, I mean, what difference does that make, really?
that's why I'm asking.
Well, it's important because you have to know the use.
Well, if he's building a house, either for himself or to sell, it's still a house.
No, because if they're building a house and it becomes a garage like they did up in Wilseyville, or it becomes a used car lot like it did down in Candor, it's not. So you want to know their intentions. If they may be living there, but if they're making it into a business, that changes our perspective.
Well, we also have down below the proposed use or uses of the site.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's I could see where somebody would put the same exact answer for both.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Well, I guess I could see where somebody could put ownership intentions. Maybe they're planning on building a house, but on proposed uses, maybe they kind of say down there, proposed possibly rental unit.
Okay.
I mean, so maybe we ought to just leave them both. I mean, because if their intentions is to build a house,
Mhm.
like Art said, if they put on here that they intend to build a garage, and then after the fact, they end up trying to build a house there without this form,
Mhm.
then we can say,
Then we
then
can
Marty
go
can
back.
put a halt to it and,
Right. Well, how about this? How about this suggestion? Maybe moving that question down by proposed use of the site and moving right into location, tax map, keep that information together and then
yeah,
putting those together. Is that a suggestion everyone feels?
Yep.
Okay. Do you want it below or above proposed use?
I put it above.
Okay,
You agree?
Mhm.
I agree. Okay, so I will move that. So next would be then after owner, location of site. Site or property? What?
maybe you could put site/property.
I can easily do that. Does everyone agree on that? Okay. Tax map description, the section, the block, and the lot number. That is consistent with looking on the tax map. Does anyone have any issues with that or leave that the same, right? Local, county, state, and federal permits, approvals needed, list type and appropriate department.
Yeah, a lot of times I don't know where the applicant actually knows that.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, they don't even know they need a speedies permit or a curb cut from the county or, but it may be a place that they could write it down on their application so they'll be aware of it.
If they've already talked to the code enforcement, they may have already been informed.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a business, they've already had legal involved, some on their form, I would assume.
I would assume, yeah.
And legal has informed them, you're gonna have to get a permit.
Right.
So,
Would you want it put, in the parentheses, put list type and appropriate department, consult code enforcer if you're unsure. Or, I mean, I don't know if that's helpful or not.
I can see, actually, it does, just like we did in the seasonal use roads law, saying to contact the town clerk. I don't see an issue with doing that, especially if somebody looks at it and like, what is that? So we could put list type and appropriate department dash contact town of Candor code enforcement officer with for questions.
Mhm.
I don't even need to put town of Candor. I mean, the whole application is for, so contact code enforcement.
Or you could put applicable departments.
Instead of code enforcement, contact applicable departments.
Something, because if they're doing something off of 96,
Mm-hmm.
and they gotta go to the state.
Yeah.
But they may not realize.
Yeah,
they
but
have
I
to,
think the
yeah.
code enforcement or us would be the people they would go to
Yeah, they might come here first, but
to get the information that says,
How about contact code enforcement officer for more information?
okay.
And then Marty can point them in the direction of, the county or,
if it's on those select days.
right.
Select a minute.
Contact code enforcement.
So we have a visitor here. Hello.
Hello.
So who are you and where are you from or what?
So my name is Seth. I'm a reporter for the Candor Chronicle.
Okay, so you're here as newspaper press?
Wonderful.
Okay, thank you.
Contact code enforcement officer for more information. Okay. And then we'll go into the ownership intentions, i.e. purchase options, proposed uses of site, total site area, square foot or acres.
I was gonna say,
Is one preferred over the other, I guess is the question here.
No,
It's just what they have. If they're doing something small,
Mhm.
it might be in square feet. They have a large parcel that might be in acres. But it makes a difference because if you disturb like 1 acre, it triggers, again,
Yeah.
stormwater.
Yeah.
And things like that.
That's why I was wondering if we just keep, make it acres or, but if we keep it both, I mean, we can easily do conversions. It's not a difficult calculation.
right.
I mean, your parcel is in acres.
Yeah.
Yours would be square feet.
I'm 0.51 acres.
Oh, all right.
Right.
Yeah, okay. You have it converted already.
All right, so then we get into anticipated construction time. I don't see any issues with that. Will development be staged?
So that's important because the golf course up here in Catatonk, in Wilseyville,
Wilsonville.
they made 3 stages for actually an 18 hole, but they've only ever developed the 9, but they've been approved for all the stages. Okay, so when they get money or the business picks up or they decide they're gonna do it, they can do it. So that's what they mean by staged.
Okay, should we change the wording so it's a little bit easier to understand per se? Will development,
Phases or,
will construction be, construction timeline be staged or something, I don't know.
They're not talking about the construction so much as the development of the property.
Yeah, that's what I mean by the construction phases, would be the development phases. Just trying to think if there's a way to word it so it's easier to understand if somebody quickly looks at it like, what?
I
Why?
think substituting the word phase instead of staged sounds so much clearer.
Will development be phased?
Or, yeah,
I would say, will development be in stages?
yeah.
That's clear. I like that. Anyone else? Okay, so in stages. Great, thanks, Ken.
Mhm.
Current land use of the site, agricultural, commercial, undeveloped, etc. Yep, that follows everything. Does anyone have any issues with that?
Nope.
No.
Current condition of site, buildings, brush, etc.
That's pretty good.
That's, yep, pretty clear there. Character of surrounding lands, suburban, agricultural, wetland, etc. So,
that often goes mostly with CBA or
Mhm.
the Board of Appeals. So if they want to make a variation, and I can show that, hey, well, I want to put my garage close to the road, but look,
yeah,
all these
it's because
neighbors
you're
have it
surrounded.
close to that road too, for the
Mhm.
same reason I need to have it there. So that's what that comes from.
Yeah, I'm just curious because I mean we obviously get into that with the seeker as well, but I mean for our knowledge and like you said for the Board of Appeals that does make sense to have it and it's easy enough to answer those questions. So we get into estimated cost of proposed improvements. Looks like we need a line separation there.
Mhm.
Anticipated increase in number of residents, shoppers, employees, etc. as applicable. So, this is obviously dealing with, well, business or townhouse or apartments, anything to that nature. And then hours of operation expected, dealing with that. I'm wondering if we need like a header for this area because it seems like we're changing now into, although it's only 2 questions, so so I guess a header should not be needed for that. Okay. All right. Page 2. Application for site plan development continued. So in here we're asking describe proposed use, including primary and secondary uses, ground floor area, height, and number of stories for each building. For residential buildings, include number of dwelling units by size, efficiency, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 or more bedrooms, and the number of parking spaces to be provided. For non-residential buildings, include total floor area and total sales area, number of automobile and truck parking spaces. Other proposed structures, use separate sheet if needed. In past, what people have provided us are basically the blueprints or plans as to what they are doing, if they have them at that point. Typically at a sketch plan conference, people already have a proposed idea and, people can jot it down on a napkin even, just to give an idea if it's not gone before an architect or anything as of yet. I don't see any changes really needed there. Does anyone else?
Nope.
Okay. Then we get into the planning board decisions. Approved, disapproved, or approved with modification are the choices. Yeah.
We might add modification or condition.
With modification or condition.
Yeah. They're very similar.
Okay.
In other words, I want you to build a hedgerow or put up a
Yeah.
screening fence or
Something simple to that. We should not at this point put a choice of that they need to go before the Board of Appeals.
no.
I mean, that's their choice if we disapprove
Mhm.
to do it. So then there's a section for comments and then signature of the planning board. I am changing it to planning board chair just to keep it gender neutral.
Politically correct.
Politically correct, thank you. And the date. And then the final page is a site plan development checklist. And I should mention to those that are viewing, these are available at the town hall, and I think it's up on our website as well. So you can download this file on our website.
So could I make another suggestion?
Absolutely.
Back on the first page.
Yeah.
You've got the owner, and then you have the owner intentions, purchase options. Why don't we move the proposed use up under that?
Okay.
Kind of like that idea better, but if you guys don't agree, that's fine, but I think that just tells everything right there in the front, right in the beginning.
And then you get into the
Then you
details
can get
about the
into
property.
Details, yeah.
Okay.
Sounds fair to me.
Yeah, because once you get to the tax map,
Mhm.
look, everything else is,
So we'll put ownership intentions, i.e. purchase options, and then proposed uses of the site.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, no, you're perfectly fine. Okay, the last page is our site plan development checklist. It starts with the title, the proposed development, the title, the address or whatever, name of the applicant / owner, items to be satisfied, and the technical considerations. So we'll go through this one at a time. If there's anything that anyone could think of that we should add, please let me know, or if we want any of these changed to meet current codes, we can make those changes. So the technical considerations, drawings, 11 by 17 or smaller are preferred. I don't even know what the standard is
well, for prints,
for prints.
17 by 30 bigger.
Yeah, they really, if you see the tax maps out there.
Yeah.
big pages.
Yeah, I know they're bigger. That's why I'm saying, or smaller are preferred. I would think we would want it bigger if possible, not smaller.
Why don't we look at the standard and then we might make a change?
Yeah.
Well, in order to handle them, in other words, you're giving us a packet.
Hmm?
It would be in there. It wouldn't be their actual blueprint. They would
Right.
They would,
have that and they would be.
They would take their blueprints and have them reduced.
But you got to also remember, we have had instances where people have shrunk a very large thing onto a standard 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and we could not even read the text.
Right.
So we may want to find a consistent, maybe 11 by 17 or larger.
So at the county level, we do most of the documentation like this in PDF.
Mhm.
And when I get the first page and I look at it, it's like really small and I gotta make it like 8 times bigger.
Mhm.
But then when I get to the other part, it's like I have to reduce it. So that's one way they get away with it.
Mhm.
You might, again, upgrade the technology to allow PDF.
Well, I mean, that is something that we can ask. We can put in drawings, PDF, 11 by 17 or
Acceptable.
PDF, acceptable.
Well, 11 by 17 is generally the phone company that it was always a comfortable size to read.
Mm.
Because
Yeah, it's bigger than
folded out.
legal. Actually, I think the prints that they provided us for the Delaware solar project, where they had to fold it, those were the 11 by 17s,
Yeah.
if I
And that's-
recall, and that was nice.
Yes.
So do we want to just say 11 by 17 print or PDF?
Some people may not have the ability to print on 11 by 17. I couldn't.
But if the PDF is, you could go to Walgreens and they can convert it to a PDF there for,
Yeah, but if I just want to do it on my own and draw it up on my own.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of torn because I'm thinking back to when I built my house. Do we want to make somebody go all the way to Staples or Walgreens? The problem is you take something to Staples, if you want it rushed, you pay for it.
Yeah.
If you can wait an hour and a half, and
Mhm.
I mean,
Well.
I mean, we could always ask for a bigger print at that time.
That's true.
I mean, we could always turn around and say, we need something that we can see the details better with, or we can read.
Yeah, because it also depends on the size of the project. I mean, if we're talking about, a small
Yes.
little project, the details can possibly fit all on a standard piece of paper.
And if-
But if we're talking a development,
Yeah.
then
And our local law clearly states that we have the right to waive or add to any of these things.
mhm.
And
So
we just say, hey, we'd like a bigger drawing.
So in that case, just leave it 11 by 17 or smaller
Yeah,
and get rid of our preferred.
yeah.
Okay.
You can add PDF acceptable or not?
It's up to you. I think at this point, if, like you said, we can request it when they come, but if,
No, I'm just saying it's an option for them.
Hmm.
They could submit it as a PDF.
then we would need a way to see it.
Yeah.
If we need a computer, we can-
And we don't have a way.
Okay.
We can always request it like we said, if we need something with larger detail, a PDF can work. We can request. North arrow scale date.
That's just on the drawing.
That's the legend.
Mhm.
So should I put North arrow scale date legend, or don't even need to put
I
legend?
don't need, yeah, you don't need to put legend
Okay.
because
Yeah.
All right. Property boundaries and abutting owners.
why?
Because sometimes you have to notify the people within such a distance. And if you don't know who they are, then you have to try to figure out who the other owners are. So the onus
isn't
goes
that-
upon them.
Hmm?
The responsibility goes upon the developer to go on the tax maps to find out who the adjacent properties are owned by and give us the
I
information.
think the responsibility is ours or Marty's, because if we let them put that information down and it goes through the process and after the project is started, if somebody realizes that a neighbor got missed, but we accepted it as is and proved it, we have nothing to stand on. It should be Marty's responsibility to verify and look that up.
Yeah, but I'm just saying realistically, I don't know if that's gonna happen, but, I see your point. And if they submit information that's inaccurate, that would void the whole thing. It could void the whole thing.
I have an idea.
Only if they did it willfully.
Yeah.
What if we separated the two? So make property boundaries one line, and then another one can be addresses of abutting owners. That way, the addresses are there, and then that at least gives us the ability to reach out to them.
So when we had the signed ordinance for the billboards 15 years ago,
Mhm.
We couldn't figure out who owned the property. We saw it was nearly impossible to find that out
Mhm.
just by the address.
Yeah, I don't think you need address. I think you just need the owner's name.
The owner of the property, and then they can go onto the tax roll. Whether or not their address is up to date, I don't know. They may have died and passed it on to their grandkids,
Yeah,
but that's all we can do.
All right. Well, do we want to just leave it as is, or do we want them separated? How do you propose?
leave them as is, because if somebody property boundaries, and if they put down who they see on the tax maps,
Mhm.
who the property, because they're gonna have to go to the tax map.
Mhm.
And at that point, they can fill that in. I'm just saying that on a tax map, I've seen property where there's 10 feet of your property
Mhm.
is touching my property. And if I turn that in, but I didn't see that 10 feet.
Yeah.
Was it willful, or was it just an honest mistake?
Right. Yes.
And to me, that's where that should be code enforcement
Right.
should look at it, and he should look at the tax map and say, wait a minute, I see 5 properties touching this, but I only got 4 on here.
Yeah, it'd have been helpful if we had code enforcement here to assist us going through this, because Marty's obviously going to have to look at this as well and compare it to what he does. So we'll have to still work with code enforcement after the fact for a final review to see if he has any other additions or thoughts.
So when we get this packet to come in, and we're gonna go through this list, and we're gonna see which ones are satisfied
Mhm.
and date these. So is the person gonna have this little checklist too before they come in with everything?
They should.
They
Again,
should
it's
have
available on our
it.
website.
So
So,
that
Or
people know
Marty.
about it, yeah.
And Marty should.
and Marty
Marty
is
should
supposed
be
to give it as part of
okay.
Yep.
Okay,
Because I know in previous, when we've gotten site plans, this
you have
has been
received it, okay.
given to us, not as of recent, but previous, yes. So, all right, so leave property boundaries and abutting owners the same.
Mhm.
Existing buildings and within 150 feet.
I'm not sure what the and within
Yeah,
150 feet is.
That's why I'm confused myself. Maybe it has to be 150 feet from the property? I don't
No,
know.
I think what they're saying is any buildings on that property
Mhm.
and any buildings that are within 150 feet of your proposed development.
So if my house is 25 feet off and you want to put your septic on the edge of your property there, that will flag it that, whoa, there's another property too close to put your septic there.
Another building.
Should we separate these though, to make it a little easier? What existing buildings are on the property and what buildings are within 150 feet of your property boundaries?
You could say
Well,
that.
but is it within 150 feet of property boundaries or 150 feet of proposed
Of the proposed project.
project?
Yeah.
Because within 150 feet of the boundaries,
Mhm.
you're opening up a big
Yeah,
can of
yeah,
worms.
yeah. No, I by that I mean the proposed project. Or we can just, again, leave it the same. But if there was question about what that means, others may have a question as well, so.
Because if I'm not mistaken, as I just checked with my property, I think it's 100 feet for septic well, septic
Separation.
buildings, yes.
All right, so just leave it, or do we want to separate it out and put,
Well, you said existing buildings on property, that would make it more clear for them. And then if you wanted to make another line,
And say within any buildings within 150 feet of the proposed
project,
project.
that'd be fine.
and then got another one. Existing buildings within 150
I gotta
feet
admit,
of.
if I was trying to build a new house right now, this would be very intimidating.
Mhm.
So,
I mean, in the past, and I can't speak for Marty because I don't know the process, but I know in the past, the code enforcement officer used to sit down and go through this and talk about it. I would have to assume that our code enforcement officer does, but I don't know.
But I mean, like drainage plan, shouldn't it say if applicable?
well, all this is only if that's applicable. A lot of these things here you'll see later on.
We could put up at the top, technical considerations in parentheses where applicable.
There you go.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
a good idea.
there you go. Because pedestrian access.
Yeah, I know, that's. There used to be an instruction for this, I thought. Maybe it was in the law. I don't remember.
All right, so drainage plan, that's pretty straightforward if it's needed. Design, construction type, use, and dimensions of buildings, that's pretty straightforward to me. Design, construction type, access and egress of parking and loading areas, again, pretty straightforward if it's applicable. Pedestrian access, if it's applicable.
Yep.
Outdoor storage, if any, pretty straightforward. Location, design, and construction of site improvements. Now that I mean, I understand what it means, but
So I'm not building something from scratch. I'm adding a shed.
mhm.
So the shed is gonna be in the southwest corner of the property where my house is. It's gonna be a stick built, you know, that's what they're talking about there.
So that wouldn't be on the drawings?
Yeah, it would,
But specifically,
but this is just a checklist.
So just keep it?
I would. I mean, I don't remember all the reasons they did this originally.
This next one is just description of sewage disposal methods.
Dump it down the creek, right?
Well, no, I didn't know what my sewage treatment method was until after 9 months after I got my building permit.
Isn't that septic?
Well, that,
But you don't need the septic, you don't need this when you go to the county. They just want to know, do you have a building permit already?
right, and we all have to keep in mind that the item satisfied dates
Mm-hmm.
don't all have to be immediate. So this is also a way for the person, the applicant that is doing the proposed development to keep them on. Okay, oh, I need to figure out how I'm getting rid of sewage. I didn't do that yet. So that, I do see, what you're saying there, Ken, that it took 9 months before you even needed to talk about it.
Well, I mean, if it's a commercial or, yeah, anything other than a residence, then yes, I guess this would be applicable.
Mhm.
But if you're building a house,
Right,
get your
it's
house,
different.
you take a set of prints down to the county,
Mhm.
you take a plot plan, he looks you up on the map, he looks at the Google Earth photo, and he comes out and he says, well, where do you want to put, where do you, so he decides what you have the room to put in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, is it perk tested? Yeah, they're all the.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even do a perk test. I just went for the max because I had hard pan. It wouldn't pass.
I mean, again, we have where applicable up at the top
Yeah.
now. So, do we just keep it as is? And
I would.
Yeah.
okay. Description of water supply.
Yeah. It's
Spring well.
Pond.
Municipal water.
municipal.
Municipal. Yep. Location of fire zones and supplies. Hydrant, fire pond. So in this case, where's the nearest source? Again, that's pretty straightforward. Location, design, construction of energy facilities, electric, gas, solar. It's straightforward, but is it? So, everyone fine with that?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the location, design, construction of signs, is that putting up billboards or
Yeah, that's
more billboards?
mostly for commercial.
Okay,
It wouldn't apply, we don't have any sign ordinance for individual homeowners.
okay.
Right. Yeah, as long as it's on their
On
property.
their property and it's for their
And-
own business.
And it's not, affecting any of the vehicle traffic.
Right.
It's fine. Location, development of buffer areas.
There again, if it's a commercial.
Commercial and
Yeah.
noise and that.
Junkyard or
Yep.
Yep.
whatever you're gonna do.
Yeah.
So again, our where applicable is very suitable for,
Yeah.
for the plans here. Location, design of lighting, again, typically going to be for commercial or larger projects. Identification and amount of retail or commercial space, straightforward for larger project. General landscaping and planting plans.
Why? Why? We don't have any zoning or laws for that.
That is true.
So,
But I can tell you, There are things that we can do. For instance, if there is a large solar project that would be, very visible, the planning board can tell them that we would like a row of
Okay.
trees or something to that nature that will, help.
It'll take them 20
Screen the
years to
area.
grow.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
But still, that's where that would come into play. So I believe keeping that in is a good thing. And I've been watching all the seasons of This Old House from episode 1 of season 1. It's amazing how landscaping really came into play as with Bob Vila. All right, project construction schedule, an estimate that works on all grounds. Identify other permits. Talked about that on the previous page, so that would be easy to have. Record of other permit applications. So state and federal. The environmental assessment form. I'm actually put in parentheses seeker there just because that's what people know it as. And then agricultural data statement. So any other changes other than the where applicable removing as preferred, separating the existing buildings on property and existing buildings within 150 feet of proposed project and adding seeker. Anything else? Is there anything that we should still be adding that we haven't talked about?
I can't think of it.
Yeah, I can't either.
This is gonna intimidate anybody who's,
This is the form we've had for a long, long time.
yeah, I know, but the thing is, when I got my building permit, Jim Douglas sat behind that desk and
Mm-hmm.
it was very smooth and straightforward and,
Well, that's how it should be.
And yep. So procedural sequence. So this is really the order of events when working with the code enforcement officer. So the date of working of the initial contact with enforcement officer, requesting of a sketch plan conference, the date of the sketch plan conference, application for site plan approval, the day that the fee was paid, documentation submitted, so when that got to the town, county review, a 239 review, public hearing notice, public hearing, these are if they're needed, site plan review decision, application resubmitted, and site plan review decision. So that's listed twice.
No, because if they didn't get it the first time and we sent them back to make changes and they resubmitted the
So we can put
application
secondary site plan
again,
review.
and then that's the second. We said, okay, you did what we wanted, now it's okay.
Okay, the other thing that I know we don't have in here, because it used to be there was the sketch plan conference and then there was the meeting with the planning board. I mean, they did the sketch plan, then they would come back after they got all their stuff and showed us more. I don't see that in here, unless that's the application for site plan approval.
Yeah, that's.
you could put parentheses, planning board.
Yep,
That's what I would do.
planning board meeting. Okay. All right, so that's it for that. Any other changes that I need to make?
No.
All right, so I will type this up for our next meeting. I will also send it to our code enforcement officer before our next meeting, see if he has any thoughts, complaints,
Mhm.
and we will go from there. Does that work with everybody on the board?
Yep.
All right, great. Thank you.
Do you have, if I sent you an email with Angie's revised minutes, would you be able to print them out?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, I can't from here either.
Yeah, no, we don't have the connection to our printer from our computers. All right, next is the letter for the Main Street businesses for the grant. So you were saying that you had some information?
What I spoke to Lisa and
Mhm.
I suggested she get a hold of Connie and Bill to get a letter.
Okay.
and because it really should come from them and not us.
Mhm.
And she's also got to meet with the village as well, and they're going to be looking at submitting a letter for their grant as well.
Perfect. Okay. And this has to do with proposed businesses moving into the village in place of the old market. For those that are joining us online, we're still clicking up, surprisingly. Okay, then finally under new business, I was invited to go to the Board of Appeals meeting this Thursday. They want to just find a little bit more information as to what the planning board does and where we would interact if there's a process that requires their time. I would also then, with everyone's thoughts, I was going to then invite them, or at least the chair, to come to our next meeting to speak, so we can talk about the discussion we had, and also if there's any questions from our board for that. So does anyone have
I
any?
don't see any problem of having their whole 5-member board here. Just get all the information at the same time and ask questions that they may. In other words, if I have to go through the funnel, and at that choke point, you forget or I forget, and then it gets dropped. So.
Yep. Yeah, so having the information will be beneficial. And I'll also send them the site plan approval form, if that's okay with everyone else, that we are working on, because they may have actually some information that they would like to have as part of the process that can help them make a judgment if it does go to the Board of Appeals.
So going back to the site plan review that we were doing, years ago when someone came before us with a project at the sketch plan, I myself or another board member would work with them one-on-one and help them through what they need to do and all this. Then a while back, I went to a conference and the guy said, "Oh no, you can't do that. You can't ever do that." And now, just last year, I saw at another conference, no, that's the preferred way to do it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird how it's.
I think it all depends on who you ask. I know personally when any of the solar projects or some of the other projects that we've had, I've gotten many phone calls, not only from our code enforcement officer, but also from the architects or the designers of the projects, and spoke with them about things to help
Make it successful.
Make it successful and easier, yes. What do you look for when we come to you? What kind of paperwork? And I always mention this site plan approval document. I would usually say, having prints that we can actually read and understand is helpful. For the solar, go through our solar law, send that to them, indicate the fencing and all of that. So I do what I can when I get phone calls. But yeah, I agree. We should be helping. We don't want to deter people away. And if we do it for one, we have to do it for everybody. And then we as a board see what they're providing us, and we then make the decisions based on that. So.
Yeah, but we should be doing it for everybody. Everybody
Yeah.
that we can.
Yeah, we can't, play favorites. It's we are a board, and we do that together. So, all right. Moving on to old business. So an update on the seasonal use roads law. Thank you everyone for responding to the email for the one word that they asked us to change. That made sense. So it's now in the hands of the town board. They are holding the public hearing for it next Tuesday. And from there, they'll open the public hearing, and once closed, they will vote on it. Then it'll be sent to Albany and made updated town law, as long as they approve it. The letter, Art, you very nicely, I have it in everyone's packet for the support of the Finger Lakes National Heritage Area designation. So I wanted us to review this quickly tonight and vote on it for approval. And then I'm not really sure what the preferred method is. I guess every one of us as the board members sign it, or?
I was thinking at the end of it, we can put down, this motion was passed by a motion made by Robin, seconded by Ken, and those passed 5-0, you know.
Okay. Yeah,
I
just
don't-
general information.
Just like that. You could have us all sign it too, be part of the historical documentation of the United States. That would be okay also.
And then where are we submitting this to? Is this going to county?
I would-
Or-
Yeah, I would say, I think we're supposed to all give it to the county.
Okay, so I will
Elaine,
scan
got
a
it.
PDF of it and get it to Elaine Jardine, and
Yeah.
she will then she will have it on
Yeah, so-
record. And
So
they
I
can,
took our county one and I changed it and I crossed off and I made all the changes. It
Mhm.
really was minor changes.
Yep.
I made a couple of typographical or punctuation changes too.
Okay.
Uh,
all right, so
So can we, I just have to go back onto this one. So they want to do a study.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is all this letter is.
That's right.
I just don't know what they're out, what do they want out of this study? What are they trying to figure
They
out?
want to see if our area, that Kent County area, is a good match for a national heritage area.
Mhm. And what is the benefits of having that?
If it is, so the other national heritage areas that we have in New York State are like Niagara Falls area,
Mhm.
Adirondacks, and then down by the Poconos and Catskills. So I see it as tourism, bringing people to an area that, has this type of,
Okay, but this isn't going to limit our people that, like in the Adirondacks, you can only build a house
No,
looking
it's
like
not-
this
it's
and all
not-
that. So it's not,
not gonna do
No, this
that.
is not
Okay,
the-
that's what I wanna
There-
make sure
There
is
is
not-
absolutely no possible restrictions or,
I can't say no possible, but it's not the intention.
it's not designed to do
It's-
that.
The intention is to just,
Oh, we got a question.
right,
Are individuals required to get a variance from neighbor if planned project is within 150 feet?
probably not.
No, but I can tell you if the the Board of Appeals, excuse me, if the Board of Appeals does take on a case where we declined it or something from the code enforcement, then it is something as part of the Board of Appeals that they must get the neighboring houses' approvals and everything, and tell them about that they will be doing a public hearing about this case on this date at this time for them to have the ability to be present for it.
right, but they don't have to get the neighbor's approval.
But it's not
They
an
just have
approval
to be aware of what's happening and have an
Of-
opportunity to voice
to
their
voice their
concern
opinions.
and
It's
their objections to the board, and the board makes a decision on the
correct.
merits.
Correct.
okay. I know in our other property up north, a person was putting a garage near our property line. They had to get an easement from us in order to do this.
Right, that's
So-
different.
Yeah, okay. But that
There's-
was within 150 feet of.
Yeah, an easement is different. That's something worked out between the landowners.
Mhm. But so what's this question?
Are individuals required to get a variance from a neighbor if the planned project is within 150 feet? So that's
As long as they meet the setback.
as long as they
for the
meet all of
property.
the code requirements.
And our setbacks to side lots are only like 10 feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only, and if you wanna do septic or well within
Mhm.
that 100 feet, you won't, the town, or the county health department, you just can't do it.
Right,
Right.
you can't, okay.
But with the heritage.
Yeah.
Cause about 30 years ago, when Sharon and I lived in the old house on 54 Ithaca Road,
Mm-hmm.
it was built in 1837 as a parsonage for the Congregational Church.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and we got approached by the National Historical Society. And we came this close to signing papers,
Mhm.
which they would have then dictated
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
what
do,
you can do, what you can't do.
Yep.
And I saw that and I'm like, no.
Go to Owego someday and look at their historic district and all the
Yeah.
people crying over they can't put cement in, even if it looks like slate. They can't put this type of color on, you can't use this color siding.
Right.
Can't use certain
Yeah, it
windows.
must meet the historic
Yeah.
preservation
Can't use certain
values
windows, right.
and of that
Yeah, it
given
has to be
zone.
period correct windows.
Yeah.
Which means that you know, like this window here, these double,
Yeah, that wouldn't fly.
I mean, that replacement window, you're probably looking at close to $1,000 for those two windows.
Yeah, it has to look like,
But if you
it
wanted a
could be
period,
high tech.
if you
Just has
wanted a period correct window, you're probably looking at more like $5,000 or more. And it's like, okay, I can understand it, but
Yeah.
I
I know. Again, watching this old house, I see that all the time with a lot of the construction work that they do on there. Again,
So I guess
I
that was my question. You know, the study's a study, but
I can see the concern, and you're right. There's no way of physically saying no, that can't happen.
It's designed to open up monies
Mhm.
to development. So if I remember from the presentation, and it's been a couple months now, they're not gonna give out any money outright, but they'll give you like a matching fund.
Mhm.
Okay, so as a person with your business, the maple syrup, you wanna
Mhm.
expand that, make it into something, you wanna put up 50,000, and they'll give you a grant for the other 50,000 to do it. And that's where this would be good, because it would open up a channel for the money. And then the town, if we had things we wanted to put in a trail or a camp, park or whatever, we would have a vehicle to say, okay, this is part of the heritage thing, and we wanna do this because, and it's all playing the game, that's all it is.
And with us not having zoning, I can imagine that kind of makes it a little easier for us in a way, because we can't dictate. Although it could also backfire.
it could also
So-
backfire and they might require it.
Right. So, well,
I have no problem with it. I just wanted to ask more questions.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I could give you the contact information for the man that does this, but he comes from like Midwest,
Mhm.
and he goes all around the country.
Mhm.
And this is, just this one part here is gonna take months to
Mhm.
just do I think it's 10 or 14 counties, I forget now.
And you got all the towns in those counties.
Well, they don't all have to endorse it, but the more that endorse it, the more likely it is that they'll get approved. More support they have.
all right, so I will read the last paragraph of the resolved for those that are viewing virtually. And this is in regards to resolution number 1-2021, support of Finger Lakes National Heritage Area designation. That the Town of Candor Planning Board hereby supports the Finger Lakes National Heritage Area designation and the inclusion of all 14 counties, including Cayuga, Chemung, Cortland, Livingston, Monroe, Onondaga, Ontario, Schuyler, Seneca, Steuben, Tioga, Tompkins, Wayne, and Yates counties in the National Heritage Area, and supports Finger Lakes Tourism Alliance in the current and future leadership role in administering the National Heritage Area. With that, I put it up to a vote for approval to the board. If we have a motion.
I'll make a motion that the Town of Candor Planning Board make a resolution to support the Finger Lakes National Heritage Area designation study, I guess is what it really is.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ken. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
I'm gonna do nay.
Okay.
I'm just not sold on all this yet.
All
I'd
right.
have to learn more about it.
So that is a 3-4 and 1 nay. And motions by Art and second by Ken. All right, thank you.
Angie, I'm sending you the document now.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on again to old business infrastructure. So I did talk to the town board at their meeting. Indicated that the money received from the COVID relief, American relief package, I guess it was, which was $550,000 to be shared partly with the village of Candor. Since it is, and it specifically states for infrastructure, that we should use it for supporting infrastructure in the case of, looking at least what our options can be to moving, to bringing us water, sewer, natural gas, extending the natural gas pipelines, updating our electrical services within the town and telecommunications. So that is the town board's decision how that money is being spent. But all we can do is make our suggestions and that. I did also reach out to the Cornell Local Roads Program, David Orr, and I have not heard back as of yet. But they do a lot of work
Still
with.
there, huh?
Oh yeah, David Orr's still there. To try to see if he's come across any projects in his past, and I'm pretty darn sure they have. In fact, I know they have. To see if they have any suggestions on who to reach out to, even just to get an aerial view of Candor, so that way we can start at least looking at how to pursue grants. As I mentioned at the last meeting, many of the grants require at least a budget and an overview of what the project would consist of, and we don't even know where to begin. So having that information and the knowledge can only help us as we move forward in trying to get grants, especially with the potential billions of dollars coming with the infrastructure proposal
Yeah.
with Congress right now. So, and there's a lot of that. There's a lot of other spending in that bill from what I'm hearing, but there is a large portion to help smaller towns and villages across the U.S. to get infrastructure, and we would really, I think, be able to take a large portion of that at hopefully no additional cost if the grants are proposed as what they're supposed to be, which are no money up front, no money to match. It's just, what do you need? So
That'd be great.
we are trying to be proactive to see about getting this, and we need to have our ducks in order before the grants become available, or else we're going to again be stuck in the end.
Consulting engineers.
Yes.
And I know that the
And they-
village is interested as well.
Who?
Yes. Thank you.
The village.
Yeah, the
And
interest, because they're
consulting
very
engineers
interested. in
require
this.
money.
Unless there's, a friend, which is what I'm hoping. I know Cornell Local Roads Program, they do have connections with outside engineers that will do it as a
Pro bono.
pro bono work
Or
and
a,
things like that. Yes.
a learning course.
Yep. Exactly. Yes.
Graduate students.
Graduate students,
that
yes.
work on the
So
project.
that's one of
That's
the
typically
reasons.
what you get from Cornell, but they do a good job as long as you get it done within that semester of that class.
Right,
If
right.
it goes beyond that, it's like, same thing at the university.
Yep.
Same thing happens. It's just a college life there.
So that's why I figured reach out. It doesn't hurt. The worst they could say is no. So. And then finally on our agenda, under old business, the Candor Emergency Squad public hearing will be Saturday, June 12th at 1:00 at the Pavilion, unless it is raining. If it's raining, then I believe it's supposed to be at the fire hall. But I ask, anyone that wants to see and hear and ask questions about what is going on with the ambulance service, how it'll affect your tax roll, please come to the meeting. or submit questions to the town board prior to the meeting. And we are working on hopefully getting a live feed or recording it somehow. That is yet to be completely figured out, but I know they are working on it.
Ed,
Yes.
the email address to send the questions to is supervisor@townofcandor.org for anybody that's listening.
Okay, so supervisor@townofcandor.org. If you have a question that you would like to send and you will not be able to make the public hearing, otherwise, if you are in attendance, you can ask your questions directly to the board, and I believe members of the squad will also be there to answer any questions that may come up. So, anyone else have any questions, comments, or complaints?
Most everybody should have received their card by now, a postcard telling about
Yeah.
the meeting.
Should have.
Should have.
I didn't get one.
You did? Okay.
I did get one from Denise in the town here, though. But text. Any questions from the public?
Steph?
Seth, do you have any questions for
No.
us? Okay.
Thank you for joining us, Seth. Then I got moving into something and didn't look up to even see, so I apologize. I've been more concerned with the virtual. But thank you for joining us. It's nice to have a member of the press with us at our meeting. So if you have any,
Can I ask though, is there a motive behind?
Yeah, they put articles in the paper.
Well, I'm addressing Steph.
So actually, Sue Heaven Richard suggested that I try making it to a couple of these meetings.
Okay.
And I talked with the editor, or my editor, and she thought it would be a good idea.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, welcome anytime.
yeah, we're
We
you
even have a card for you if you want to.
You can sit at the table.
I did have, actually, I have a copy I can give you of the agenda. I posted it online, but, I can have a printout here for you so you can have. But yeah, no, we're very happy to see that. And, we do a lot of work, and I don't know if the town fully understands what the planning board, town board, board of appeals does, but we try, they are open. So we welcome anyone to the meetings. Please come and ask your questions and bring your ideas and thoughts. Because
Next Tuesday night's the town board meeting, so you should come to that one because there's going to be, is there one public hearing or two?
there's one public hearing and
One on the road use.
that's
on the
right.
seasonal road use. And also, I don't know yet what is happening with the vacant now position of George Williams due to his passing.
Yes.
But we will find out more next week, and I'll of course update the board as we move forward. I think you're on.
I'm making a motion that we adjourn for the evening.
I forgot.
I second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Okay, and we are ending at 8:14. Thank you for those that were watching. Have a good evening.